Hey, good Monday morning. And I just have to share with you. Yesterday I shared the gospel of Luke chapter 24, the road to um, Emmaus, the Emmaus road experience and conversation. And, on this road to Emmaus, these two disciples are leaving Jerusalem. And when they leave Jerusalem, they're brokenhearted. They have doubts. They have questions. I mean, they're struggling to figure out what happened, what they witnessed over that week, and what they witnessed over that weekend. Just like us, we put these disciples on pedestals and call them super Christians, but they're just like us. They struggle to believe sometimes. And so as they're walking along, in Luke chapter 24, these disciples are like, I don't know. The Bible says they're discussing among themselves the things that happen. And that's in Luke 24, verse 15. It says, as they talked and discussed these things with each other. And in Greek, you look at this and they were arguing. They were arguing about it. Maybe one disciple believed, the other one was like, I don't know. I watched him I watched them arrest him. I watched as they beat him. I watched as he had to carry his cross. I watched as all these things happen, and maybe there's just no way. There's no way he could be alive. And the other one's like, I'm telling you, he's alive. So they were tossing words. They were arguing about this. And then Jesus appears and walks with them. They don't recognize him. And we're given a name, Cleopas. Cleopas, according to Catholic and some Protestant traditions, could have been an uncle of Jesus. Could have been a cousin of Jesus. But whatever the relation, he didn't recognize him. He was kept from recognizing who Jesus is. And so Jesus hears their concern. He hears their doubts. He hears their fears. He hears all these things that these two disciples are going through on this road to Emmaus. But when they get to the house, before they get there, Jesus talks to them. He tells them, beginning with Moses, what will happen, what the Son of Man was supposed to do. And then when they get to the house, they're like, it's getting dark, it's getting late. You ought to come and stay with us. Hospitality was big. Jesus goes in and he is probably offered bread. And when he takes the bread, he breaks the bread. And when he breaks the bread, their eyes are open and they're like, oh my gosh, he is alive. And so these disciples, in the midst of the crisis of faith, they realize that this is Jesus. They realize that what the women said when they came from the tomb was true. They realize that what Peter and John, when they came from the tomb, what they said was true. They realized that Jesus is alive. And what do? They forget about the danger. They forget about their fear. They forget about their worries. And they get ready and they go back to Jerusalem, 7 miles. And when they get back to Jerusalem, I love this because it says that in chapter 24 of Luke, it says that they got up, returned at once to Jerusalem. They found the 11 and those with them assembled together and listened to what they said. This is verse 33 and 34. It is true, the Lord has risen. It is true, the Lord has risen. And so this is a holy moment for them, because they left Jerusalem with doubts and fears and uncertainties, and they returned to Jerusalem rejoicing with the good news that Jesus is alive. Their crisis of faith is over, and all the disciples can rejoice, because now what the women said on that very first early morning, they can affirm. What Peter says, it can be affirmed. Matter of fact, it says, and has appeared to Simon. This is what they said. The Lord is risen and has appeared to Simon. And so there must have been rejoicing as these disciples hid behind locked doors, because all of them had a crisis of faith. But in the midst of the crisis of faith, the Lord is there. And I think that's a promise for all of us, no matter what we face. Sometimes the crisis can be health. Sometimes it can be mental. Sometimes it can be financial. Sometimes it can be spiritual. But no matter what the crisis of faith is, the Lord is faithful. And as he opened the eyes of those two disciples who were tossing words, he can open our eyes and help us to see, even in the most mundane circumstances, that Jesus is alive and he's here. Hey, this is Pastor Bill from St. Luke's United Methodist Church, Harrisville, West Virginia, Ritchie County, West Virginia. Wherever you are, I hope you're happy, I hope you're healthy, and I hope you're safe. Have a great day, everyone. God bless.